Hello, and welcome to the Spiritualist Circle of Light. This is our dream class, and we are going through Nigel Hamilton's Awakening Through Dreams, the journey through the inner landscape. And we are going to look at the alchemical operation of Calcinatio. Actually, this means fire. And what is it that we do with fire? Well, typically we burn things up. But in this case, it's the alchemical operation of fire, which is used to divide elements. And that's what our talk is going to be about, is dividing the elements of the dream. So when we look at dreams, we typically look at them from the perspective of what does this mean? Very seldom do we consider what they are telling us. As we've been going through this, I have shared several dreams and we've dismantled them. This is part of the Nigredo process of dismantling the dream. And when we look at these dreams, particularly the ones that are of a disturbing nature, what we want to do is we want to separate the elements in them. So any dream that is disturbing, no matter how disturbing it might be, whether you awake from a dream and you are perplexed, or you awake in cold sweats. Well, typically cold sweats are something else, but still, any dream that disturbs you in any fashion warrants a closer examination. We need to take a closer look at it. And as I said, calcinatio is fire. And in the alchemical processes, which is what Nigel Hamilton uses, he compares his investigation with the alchemical process of refinement. And fire is what they use to separate the elements from a component. And we call this a refinement process. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with fire is also associated with the sun. And the sun is connected to the supreme intellect, or the supreme deity, infinite intelligence, if you like. Some people like to say God, but what it actually connects us to is the intelligence aspect, because they use the sun. The sun is the highest God. It's their supreme deity. It is, when God is mentioned in the Bible, it's always as a ball of fire. The communication with Moses is a good example of that. The burning bush. God always communicates with fire. In several of the other writings, some of which have been left out of the Bible, when the main characters view God, all they see is this bright light or this ball of fire. So fire is connected to the intellect, intelligence, knowledge. So when we have these dreams, when events get out of control, this is a warning. Remember the dream I shared on numerous occasions about let's look at the one with the babysitting and the mother who is out of control. That is speaking to me. It's telling me there's a problem here. The one I shared about silencing people with a dirk. Again, I'm that's those actions there are not necessarily out of control, but they're not rational either. They're irrational. So these are signs. These are messages from the subconscious, if you will, that there's an issue here that requires your attention. Sometimes we need to look at it directly. Sometimes we just need to give it some thought. And that's what this is about. Those instances where things are out of control, uh, turbulent water. When you experience turbulence with the water, troubled waters is the cliche that comes to mind with that. And it's out of control. The water is out of control. That's the only way the water becomes turbulent, is when it's out of control. And these are messages that something is wrong. We need your attention. This is you crying to you for assistance. Whenever you experience these disturbing dreams, it's yourself crying out to you for help. And we talked about the intellect here, and this is what fire is about. This, when we are separating, we're examining, we're looking for information, and fire is tied to the intellect. It represents the intelligence, knowledge, information. This is all tied into it. Now, when we examine our dreams, particularly in this fashion here through the separation, what we want to do is we want to separate the elements of the dreams. So we begin with what's driving our dreams. Emotions are what drives our dreams. So you want to consider the emotion or emotions you were experiencing during the dream, because this is going to be important. Anxiety, I shouldn't say anxiety, but feeling anxious can indicate thoughts of not only concern, but also of, oh, I don't want to say panic, but concern, problems, outcomes, other emotions that you may, well, they're all going to, basically the emotions you may be experiencing in these disturbing dreams will be those of anxiety, unless they're of indifference. And if they're indifferent, then there's nothing to be anxious about. There's no fire there. There's no warning there. So pay attention to the emotions that you are experiencing, the nuances, worry, concern, troublesome. Describe them however best fits you. And what inspired this dream? The emotions are going to lead you to this. What inspired this dream? Now, as if you recall, dreams are triggered by anxieties, whether they are subtle or huge or somewhere in between, but they're about anxiety. So there's concern. That's what you want to look for. What are you concerned about? Because this is what's going to be there. Now, also remember patterns. Dreams reveal patterns. So the pattern that you want to look at or look for is, what is it that you have done before that you are doing again that you need to do differently? And then the elements of the dream. Were you inside? Were you outside? Were you in a house? Were you in a car? Who were the people there? Were they family? Were there strangers? Were they people in authority? This will have a lot to do, especially when you try to determine what it's about. All of these shed some light on what your dream is about. For instance, and we've dismantled this dream before with the silence in the dream here. You know, we look at when we look at that particular dream there. All right. I would touch someone and I would see all the sadness and everything that they were going through in their life, in the future. And the reason I silenced them was to spare them that. All right, let's just take that little bit there. Just that little bit. So the emotion was one of disinterest. Now, the interesting thing about this is being disinterested, it can be troublesome of itself because it means saying that I don't care enough to do this. I don't care enough to assist them in going through this potential sadness that they will be experiencing. I don't care enough. So I silence them. I take them out of it so I don't have to worry about it because it's always going to be about me. Dreams are always about yourself. So there's the emotion. The emotion is disinterest. Now, where's the anxiety there? The anxiety there comes back to I don't care enough because I'm not interested. I'm not interested enough to work with them in this. I expect them to come to me instead of my going to them. So there's the identity there. That is the source of the dream right there. We don't have to go through the rest of it. We've got it all right there. The whole thing about the dream is, well, first let's look at some of the elements of the dream. I was not inside, I was outside. Actually, I was in an alleyway. I was in a city alley, and a stranger, nobody in particular, no one I recognized, a stranger is who I encountered, and I touched them. Now, the thing to keep in mind is this is the time of the pandemic, and touching people, getting that close to people is actually not good. So there's that anxiety that's feeding into the dream, the inability to touch people because of health concerns. So I've got that. It's outside. So it's not about me, although it is about me. It's not about me internally. Yeah. The next thing with this is how I dispatch them. I used a knife. A knife describes backstabbers. And a backstabber is typically one who just, yeah, they come up behind you, but they do things unexpectedly. Unexpectedly. They do things to injure people without being noticed. It's like a sneak attack. That's what a backstabber is. They do sneak attacks on people. So this is what I was doing in the dream. And typically I'm not that type of person. I'm not a type of person that's going to sneak up on somebody and then do something to them. I always let them know ahead of time. But that's not what occurred in the dream. So I've got a knife in my hand. So it's a sneak attack, and that's exactly what I did. I touched them, I felt this, and I acted. Now I'm in a city. Cities are where people gather, but there was only the one person, but I'm in a city. I'm in a quiet alley. It's a separation from a group. I'm separated, I'm isolated. Again, there's this anxiety there being isolated. We are social people. We're social creatures. We need this connection with each other. So we've got these different types of anxieties that are being revealed in all of this. And what's being revealed in the dream is I'm taking the high ground and taking the easy way out, meaning I need to look at this. I need to separate all of this to get a better understanding of the message. So I need to get involved. That's what the dream is saying. I need to become more involved. Well, it's one of the things that the dream could be saying. And there will be many. Every time you scrutinize a dream and get closer to it, there will be additional meanings attached to it, which is fine. The whole purpose of separation, of taking this apart, of dismantling, is to understand. And as you understand each component, you put it all back together for an overall meaning. An overall meaning. Meaning I look for ways of involvement. And there are other things that are can be associated with that as well, such as employing the steps for the law of attraction, attracting people to the churches that I'm operating. So there's a lot that can be there. That's what Calcinatio, or fire, is about: separating the elements, refining, understanding. That's what it's about. We don't have any cliches to explore this time around with images. I can't think of any, but when I do, I will bring them to you. But you, on your own, you can think of these cliches as well. Look at some of the past videos for how to use these cliches. Cliches are your best friend in interpreting dreams. If you do mediumship work, or if you go to a spiritualist church or chapel and you receive messages, you can use these cliches in the same fashion, the very same fashion. That is what my first teacher in spiritualism shared with me. The way you interpret dreams is the same way you unlock the meaning in the messages received. So keep all of this in mind. If you would like a dream interpreted, please contact us. You can contact us through Facebook's Messenger. You can also send us an email at spiritualistcircleoflight@gmail.com. Browse our website. There is a lot of information there. Additional videos, classes. Browse it. And I want to thank those who have provided donations, who've left seeds with us. Thank you very much. They are appreciated. They go towards improving these classes and leaving seeds with others. I want to thank you for allowing us to share, and thank you for visiting with us. It's very much appreciated. Drop us a line, say hello, browse the website.